They say the higher you climb, the easier it is for someone to push you. I learned that the hard way. My name is Maya Carter, and for 5 years, I poured everything I had into Sterling Dynamics, a fast-growing marketing firm where reputation meant everything. I wasn't rich or privileged or connected. I was just determined. People knew me as the one who stayed late, cleaned up everyone's mess, and still smiled through it all. And then there was Claire Benson, my colleague-turned-friend. At least that's what I thought. Claire had charm, the kind that made people lean in when she spoke. She had the right clothes, the right connections, and the right words, but none of the right ethics. Still, I believed in teamwork. I believed that if I lifted others, we could all rise together. Big mistake. When our director announced he'd be retiring soon, whispers began. Everyone knew the senior manager position was opening up, the one I'd quietly worked toward for years. And I won't lie, I wanted it. Badly. One night, Claire and I stayed late finishing a client proposal. She poured us both a glass of wine and said, "Maya, you'd be perfect for that position. You're basically already doing the job." I smiled, touched by her words. "I'm just doing my part." She grinned. "Well, if you get it, just don't forget about us little people, okay?" We laughed, but there was something in her tone, playful but sharp, like she'd already decided she wouldn't be cheering for me when that day came. Still, I brushed it off. Then the strange things started. Emails I swore I'd sent disappeared. Reports went missing. Deadlines were missed, with my name attached. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. But when my supervisor called me in and said, "Maya, this isn't like you. Is everything okay?" I knew something was wrong. I started double-checking everything, saving backups, keeping notes. And one evening, while finishing up in the office, I found Claire at my desk. "Oh, I was just grabbing a pen," she said, smiling too quickly. But the document open on my screen wasn't hers. It was mine. She closed it fast, but I'd seen enough. She was copying my work. That night, my stomach twisted with confusion and anger. Why would she do that? I had always been good to her. The next morning, she walked into the office with coffee. For both of us. Like nothing had happened. I didn't say a word. Not yet. Because the truth is, sometimes silence is louder than confrontation. But that silence didn't save me. A week later, a company-wide email went out. A confidential client proposal had been accidentally leaked to a competitor, and the blame fell on me. I remember staring at the screen, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it. Claire came running to my desk, pretending to be shocked. "Maya, what happened? Are you okay?" Everyone was watching, whispering. The HR rep called me in that afternoon. "Maya, we've traced the access logs to your account." I tried to explain. Tried to tell them someone had been using my computer. But it sounded like excuses. I walked out that day with a box in my hands, the office eyes burning into my back. Even the ones who once called me friend. And Claire? She hugged me at the door, pretending to comfort me. But when I looked at her, I saw it, the smirk she tried to hide. That was the moment I realized. She hadn't just stolen my chance at promotion. She'd stolen my name. But what Claire didn't know was that I wasn't broken. I was just getting started. When people think of revenge, they imagine shouting, confrontation, chaos. But the most dangerous revenge is quiet. After I left Sterling Dynamics, I spent the first 2 weeks in shock. Every morning I'd wake up and forget what had happened, until reality hit like a punch to the chest. My phone was silent. No messages from my old colleagues, no job offers, just silence. I knew how the world worked. Reputation was everything, and mine had been shredded, all because Claire Benson decided my success was a threat to her ego. But here's the thing about falling. When you've got nothing left to lose, you start seeing everything clearly. I started replaying every conversation, every smirk, every accidental mistake that happened before I got fired. And piece by piece, the truth started forming. Claire didn't just sabotage me, she planned it. She used my kindness as her cover, my trust as her weapon, and my loyalty as her camouflage. I still remember the night I decided I'd get my life back. It wasn't anger, it was clarity. I didn't want revenge for revenge's sake. I wanted justice. So, I started digging. See, Sterling Dynamics used an internal platform that logged every system access, every document viewed, edited, or downloaded. When I left, I'd backed up a few of my own files, ones that didn't belong to the company, but contained project timelines and digital footprints. And when I started reviewing the metadata, I found something interesting. Every leak they blamed me for was accessed from Claire's login minutes before my account was used. She had been logging in as me. She must have found a way to access my saved credentials, maybe the night I caught her at my desk. That realization hit me like fire. And that's when the plan began. I didn't go to HR. I didn't call anyone. I knew if I went through official channels, she'd spin it again. She was good at that. No, I needed something undeniable. Something that would reveal her mask in front of everyone. So I played her game. I reached out to her from a different number, pretending to be a recruiter from a rival firm. I'd set up a fake profile, fake company website, everything. I told her we were looking for a senior consultant, someone strategic, connected, and discreet. Within a day, she replied, eagerly. I could almost hear her arrogance through the email. And soon enough, she started bragging about projects she personally led, clients she turned around, and metrics she saved. All mine, every word. I baited her further, told her the company valued transparency, that we wanted to ensure there were no conflicts of interest with her current employer. She wrote back, "Oh, I'm already planning to leave Sterling Dynamics soon. I just have to make sure certain things resolve themselves first." She attached examples of her work, files from Sterling, proprietary documents, some even with my digital signature still on them. That's when I smiled for the first time in months. Because now, I had her. I archived everything. The emails, the attachments, even the timestamps. Then I contacted the company's internal compliance officer. Not HR. Compliance doesn't gossip. They investigate. I didn't tell them it was me. I just said I'd found evidence that a senior team member was sharing confidential client files externally. 2 weeks later, chaos erupted. My phone started blowing up. One of my old coworkers, Sarah, texted me, "Maya, you won't believe what's happening. Claire's under investigation." I didn't reply. I just sat there, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of everything finally start to lift. But I wasn't finished, because justice wasn't just about her losing her job. It was about truth. Everyone believed I was the villain, the careless one, the leak. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that lies don't die quietly. They have to be buried publicly. So, when the compliance team reached out to me, "Ms. Carter, would you be willing to clarify a few things regarding your former employment?" I agreed. But not before I asked, calmly, "Will this be on record?" They said yes. Good. During the call, I laid it all out. The files, the patterns, the digital footprints, even the time she'd been caught at my desk. They listened. And when I sent them the emails from her recruiter correspondence, the silence on the other end told me everything I needed to know. 3 days later, Sterling Dynamics issued an internal notice. Effective immediately, Claire Benson was terminated for gross misconduct and breach of confidentiality. Sarah texted me again. They played the recordings in the staff meeting, Maya. She was crying. Everyone finally knows. I read that message over and over, but I didn't smile this time. because I didn't feel victory. I felt peace. She had tried to destroy my reputation. Instead, she destroyed her own. But sometimes, justice doesn't end when the truth comes out. Because in the corporate world, reputation cuts both ways. You'd think that after someone betrays you, after you finally prove them wrong, you'd feel satisfied. But the truth is, closure doesn't come from watching someone fall. It comes from realizing you don't have to climb back down to meet them. When the news about Claire spread through Sterling Dynamics, people started reaching out. Old colleagues, supervisors, even the ones who stayed silent when I was fired. Apologies filled my inbox like rain after a drought. I always knew something was off about her. "We're so sorry we didn't believe you, Maya. You didn't deserve what happened." I read every message, but didn't reply to most. Because where were they when I needed them? Where were they when I was sitting at home, crying over my destroyed career, wondering if I'd ever be respected again? No. I didn't need their validation now. Their silence back then spoke louder than their sympathy now. Still, I felt something shift. My name, the one she tried to ruin, started to mean something again. I started getting interview calls. Companies that had once turned me down were now eager to hear my story. Apparently, the same whisper network that once killed my reputation was now resurrecting it. But before I said yes to any offer, I needed one last thing: peace with myself. So I went back. Not to the company, but to the building. It was a rainy Thursday afternoon, the same kind of gray sky that hung over me the day I got fired. I stood outside the glass doors of Sterling Dynamics, watching people come and go, clutching their umbrellas, hurrying through their routines. And for a moment, I saw her reflection in my memory. Claire, walking in, laughing, holding her coffee like she owned the place. And then I realized she didn't own anything anymore. Not her title, not her image, not her illusion of control. Because truth has a way of stripping people bare. And once it's out, there's no hiding behind charm or lies. I didn't need to go in. I didn't need to say a word. The silence said enough. As I turned to leave, I saw someone through the window. My old teammate, Sarah. She waved. I smiled back. No bitterness, no anger, just peace. That night, I made a decision. No more living in the shadow of what happened. No more letting someone else's actions define me. I accepted an offer from a new firm, one that valued integrity as much as talent. My first day there, my new boss said, "We've heard a lot about you, Maya. You've got quite the story." And I smiled. "Yeah," I said, "but I prefer to focus on what comes next. Because that's the thing about revenge. It can either poison you, or it can purify you. It depends on what you do with it. I chose to let it refine me." Claire's name faded from the headlines. She tried to freelance for a while, but no one wanted to hire her. Eventually, she disappeared from the industry altogether. And me? I stopped checking. Because her downfall wasn't my goal. It was just the echo of her choices catching up. What mattered was this. The truth came out. Justice was served, and I walked away stronger than before. If you've ever been betrayed, you'll understand. Sometimes the best revenge is not exposing someone. It's outgrowing them so completely that when their name comes up, you just smile. Because you know you survived something that was meant to destroy you. And that's real power. They say karma takes time. But what they forget is, so does healing. And when both arrive at the same moment, that's not coincidence. That's balance. So if someone's ever tried to ruin your name, remember this. You don't have to shout the truth. Just let time do the talking. What would you have done if someone tried to destroy your career? Would you fight back? Or let karma take over? Comment, truth always wins, if you believe in justice the way I do. And if you haven't yet, Make sure you like this video and subscribe to English with Drama, because next story, he proposed to me, then invited his ex to the wedding. Will prove that sometimes karma doesn't wait until the honeymoon.